Okay, welcome to what I'm probably gonna name something like the ultimate PvP guide for Trinity Ghoul or some BS like that. I actually don't know yet. It's gonna be a longer video than usual, so I'm gonna talk for a little bit here. If you wanna skip ahead to the actual start of the guide, you can go to this time, or you can just stay and hear me talk, I guess. So the first thing I want to say is hello. This is kind of my first time making a video like this, so please excuse me if I'm making any mistakes. Please excuse the accent. I'm gonna try my best to edit this video so it's as smooth as possible. Editing this video is gonna be pretty cringe probably. But I'll try my best. The second thing I want to say is if you were one of the people who watched my previous video, the 20k video, thank you. Thank you for giving that video so much attention. I never thought one of my videos would get that much attention. That's pretty crazy. I think right now the video is pretty close to 10k views. The most views one of my videos had ever before that one. It's like 2000, but the rest of the videos are like below 1k. I think maybe like below 800. So that's pretty crazy. And well, yeah, this video is for those people who actually wanted to see this. I've been planning on making this for a while now, but I never knew if anybody would be actually interested in this, so I guess now I know there's people who do actually want to watch this, crazy as that is. So yeah, let's start. I'm just gonna go very quickly over the talking points. First, I'm gonna talk about Trinity Ghoul. Then I'm gonna talk about the pairings in both the kinetic slot and the heavy slot. Then I'll discuss all 3 arc subclasses and all 3 prismatic subclasses. Then I'll give you all a tier list of exotics for each character. Then I'm very quickly gonna go over my stats and my mods. Then I'll discuss some of the combos you can use to loop lightning rod. And at the end, I'll review a specific selection of my clips so I can more or less show you what you want to be doing and how you want to be doing it. And before we start, I want to say something very important. In this guide, 90% of the stuff I'm gonna say is gonna be based on objectivity, you know, what things are objectively better than other things. But that doesn't mean that if I say that something is not that good in comparison to other stuff, that doesn't mean that you can't use them. Because maybe some things that maybe are not the most optimal are more fun or just more entertaining to use for you. So please, if I say that some things are the most optimal things to use, don't take it as they are the only things to use. Do not let all of my blabbering stop you from picking up Trinity and having fun with it. That's what I wanted to say. Now, let's start. Okay, so first off, let's talk about Trinity. Most people, whenever I ask about how they feel about Trinity, their answer is either of two. Either they say it's actually trash, or they refer to it as fun in a very specific tone. So if you ask me, I'm either gonna tell you that it's actually a pretty solid PvP exotic, or that it's a really good PvP exotic. Now, I'm not saying it's one of the fast PvP exotics out there, when you have definitely easier stuff to use, but in my opinion, shooting at the ground and getting at least 2 or 3 players at really low health is good. I don't know, that sounds very good to me. Okay, so now I'm just quickly gonna go over the descriptions of this. So the exotic perk says Split Electron. Fires an arrow that splits when released. Basically, you have this arrow. You can see that it splits into 3 arrows whenever you shoot. So, you know, basically has a spread. Now, aiming down sights and fully drawing the bow both decrease the spread. I want to make this very clear. I don't know if there's ever been any confusion on this. Both of these are 2 different ways of decreasing the spread. So if you aim down sights, you get a tighter spread. If you fully draw the bow, you get a tighter spread, and both of those look very similar, except that fully drawing gives you max damage and just aiming without drawing doesn't. But now if you aim down sights and fully draw the bow, you get the tightest spread you can get. And that's obviously what you want to aim for most of the time. But let's talk a little bit more about the spread, okay? So what I'm gonna say next is probably not that important, but I think it's good for you to know anyways. So the spread decrease of drawing the bow is not progressive, meaning that there's only two states that the spread can be at, which is not drawn or fully drawn. But that's not true for the aiming down sights. Aiming down sights does progressively decrease the spread. So you can see that just because you press right trigger or right click once, that doesn't mean you're gonna get the tightest spread you can get. So if you half aim, you're gonna get a spread that's between not aiming and fully aim. But honestly, that's okay. Half aiming is actually good. I do it a lot. You don't need to be fully aimed all the time. I know a lot of people think you do, but you really don't. Half aiming is actually gonna be like maybe like 60% of your gameplay with Trinity, but you do want to fully draw the bow. Now, of course, you're gonna have to be a little bit more accurate if you wanna half aim, because since the spread pattern is not the tightest it can be, you're probably gonna have to aim more towards the center of the player's head. Now, going back into the drawing aspect of the spread decrease, you don't have to fully draw the bow every single time. You can release just a little bit before the perfect draw hits. So if you perfect draw, it sounds like this. And if you release a little bit before that, it sounds like this. But you still get the really tight spread pattern. That probably saves you just like a few milliseconds. Now, one last thing about the spread is that obviously the further you are from your target, the spread will be wider. I'm gonna show you an example right here. Even though I did the perfect draw, this is still more wide than this one, because this one's closer and this one's further. Okay, that's just logic. But you know, hitting someone from this range is not the same as hitting someone from this range. Okay, like here you might not need that much effort to hit your shots, but from this range, even if you hit a headshot, you might not get all of your shots connecting. Okay, now I'm finally gonna talk about lightning rod. To get lightning rod, you have to get an arc kill with the bow on hand. If Trinity is towed, when you get the arc kill, you will not get lightning rod. Now, what exactly is lightning rod? So basically, all three of your arrows are going to electrify, and they will chain lightning from their point of impact. Trinity can have 2 lightning rod charges. If you have lightning rod and you get another arc kill without wasting your 1 lightning rod charge, you will have 2 lightning rod charges. Now, this is not intentional, but it's been a thing for forever, and I doubt it's ever going to get fixed. But because this is not intentional, there's no way you can tell, at least in the UI, that you have 2 lightning rod charges. The only way you can tell is by paying attention to your gameplay. Something that is good to know about lightning rod is that because this is a Bungie game, sometimes lightning rod will kinda bail on you. You will do everything right, you will shoot at the floor, and the arrows will be on range from the target you want to hit, but sometimes you will get no chaining, maybe 1 arrow or 2 arrows chain, but the third one doesn't. It's a little bit buggy, but you know how Bungie works. So this next thing is very important to know, and is that lightning rod does not do full damage on direct impact, at least not on body shots. So what happens when you direct impact another player with lightning rod is that the arrows will deal the regular damage, either body shot or headshot, and lightning rod will add an additional 10 damage per arrow. This is because when the arrows impact, the explosion, not the chaining, the explosion from the arrows deals somewhere around 11 or 10 damage. So this can vary. Sometimes it will show up as 11 or 10 or 9, but basically if you hit a body shot, you will not do full damage, but if you hit a full headshot on someone with lightning rod, you will technically do more damage than if you hit the floor. but this is kinda inconsistent sometimes, so I will still advise against doing direct impact. Now I want to talk about something that's a little weird, and it's this. If you maybe have seen some of my videos, maybe you've been killed by someone in PvP that's using Trinity Ghoul, maybe you notice this. It's a little weird, but basically what's happening is when you get killed by Lightning Rod, the post-death screen doesn't recognize Lightning Rod as Trinity Ghoul for whatever reason. Instead of taking Trinity Ghoul as the namespace, it takes the namespace of whatever did the last bit of damage, or at least for weapons, that is. I don't know if it does the same for abilities. In this clip, what I did was shoot him first with the round robin and then reverse swap the Trinity Ghoul to finish him off with Lightning Rod. And that's why it says round robin here, with the bow and arc damage icon over to the left. So this is a thing that it's pretty much always gonna happen, but you know, Destiny 2 community is a little weird sometimes, so I have gotten some comments about this right here. So, you know, if anybody ever mentions something about this, at least now you know why it happens. Now, before I finish with Trinity, I need to talk about damage buffs. There is no damage buff that can affect Lightning Rod in a meaningful way. There are some damage buffs with base Trinity that are fine. For example, an Empowering Rift, which is a 15% damage buff, will allow you to double body shot with Trinity. But when it comes to Lightning Rod, the only way that a damage buff can affect Lightning Rod in a meaningful and consistent way is a damage buff that allows it to one-shot. But for that, you need somewhere around a 43% damage buff. That in PvP is either really hard to do or just impossible. I'm not actually sure about that, but what I do know is that most damage buffs in the game are definitely not that, even when stacked. So if you have Lightning Rod, do not worry about damage buffs. Now to finish with Trinity, I'm just gonna put the damage value somewhere in the screen. They're not that important right now because they're gonna come up later again when I show you the loop combos. But if you want the exact values of the damage numbers, here they are. Okay, so now let's talk about pairings. Really, you can pair Trinity with whatever you like. The usual bow pairings are fine. I'm just gonna tell you right away, the best pairing in the kinetic slot you can do for Trinity is a hand cannon, because you can do something that at least I like to call reverse swapping. So you know how at least in the past people used to do bow swapping with hand cannon. So basically just draw the bow behind cover, get the bow shot, and then swap to the hand cannon to clean up. Well, this is the same thing, but in reverse. So basically, Lightning Rod does enough damage to get a kill after a hand cannon headshot. And the reason we don't do it the typical way, bow first and then hand cannon, is because you want to loop Lightning Rod. Now, because Lightning Rod has enough damage, you can do this with both a 140 and a 120. I personally prefer 120s because of the range and the damage fall-off. If I had a 140, I probably will have to worry about that on long maps. But to be fair, you can just use a 140 and swap to 120 if you are on like really long maps. Okay, so these are what I consider to be the best hand cannons to pair with Trinity Ghoul, both 120 and 140. So this is what I use. It's a round robin because it's pretty easy to get, and I believe it's the only one with elemental capacitor keep away. Keep away pretty much reduces the need for targeting, so I don't really run targetings, and also I have a lot of handling plus access link, just removes the need for me to use a dexterity mod on my arms. And also the reason I run high stability is because I do also use these hand cannons to duel. Sometimes I know I'm not gonna win a fight with only Trinity, or maybe I'm just not confident enough that I will. So I pull out the hand cannon and that's what I use to duel. So yeah, this is in my opinion the better 120 you can get. Now this is the best 140 for Trinity Ghoul. Rose, what a surprise. Okay, well I mean it's the best hand cannon in the kinetic slot, so it does have elemental capacitor opening shot, so you get 100 aim assist with no targeting, 100 handling because of elemental capacitor, and 100 range because of opening shot. So you can see it has more range than round robin, more stability, more handling, more aim assist, more recoil. It's just overall a really good hand cannon. It's no surprise we all know Rose, but the lightweight frame really does help. I do consider this to be better than round robin, but considering this is really hard to get, I've been trying to get it for so long now, I'll just rather tell you that the round robin is better than Rose simply because it's easier to get. But if you do have this Rose, I will totally use it. Now, because I did tell you all that you can use Trinity Ghoul with anything, I'm gonna give you some other suggestions that are not hand cannons, because at the end of the day you can use Trinity with other pairing that you will normally use with a bow. I'm just gonna give you some suggestions that I think are pretty worth noting. Okay, so first off, obviously, Rake Angle. It's the only kinetic slot glaive we have in the game. Obviously, you want Chill Clip, Impulse. Okay, so the main things to notice about Chill Clip with Trinity is, well, number one, if you hit someone with Chill Clip, they're just gonna be standing there for like a whole second, so you can clean them up pretty easily with Trinity, or you can hit them through corners pretty easy with Lightning Rods. So it's a pretty free loop, honestly. The second thing is that if you're on Prismatic and you're running Winter Shroud, you probably already know this. It's a pretty free freeze combo. Just shoot them with the glaive and dodge and they're frozen. So if you're running Combination Blow, you can just one hit them with the melee because they're frozen, and Combination Blow is arc, so you will get Lightning Rod. Now this is the only shotgun that I want to talk about. It's Heritage. It has hipfire grip, so if you're an MNK you can really take advantage of this. It also has threat detector, so it can get 100 handling plus the multipliers. But what I would like to run on this is Demolitionist, because your grenades are always the things that don't really regen as fast, at least not as fast as the other abilities. So having them was actually a pretty cool addition to your pairing. Now speaking of grenade launchers, we got Ignition Code, which is a pretty famous pairing for a lot of bow players. Now sadly this version of Ignition Code doesn't have demo, but it does have strategies, which is kinda helpful. It also has permeability, but I am not too sure if permeability works after you swap off the weapon. Maybe it does because it's a projectile weapon and the projectile stays arc. If it works, I would like to see it in action. Maybe proc permeability, clean up with the grenade launcher and swap to Trinity, so you can proc Lightning Rod off of your pairing. This will be the only pairing who can do that, if possible. I guess if anybody can do that, please let me know. Now wayframes are also not a bad choice. This is the best one in my opinion, Tusk of the Boar, because you can pretty easily proc Slice on Hunter and Titan, and if you use it as a cleanup, you can get chain reaction to proc and maybe get some cheap damage. But yeah, that's kinda all it has going for it. Although I guess Skulking Wolf could also be a nice thing to proc. Now I don't know anything about Rocket Sidearms, but maybe you are like insane with Rocket Sidearms. So if you wanna use a Rocket Sidearm, this is the one that you want. Same reason as Rake Angle, because of Chill Clip. Again, I don't know much about Rocket Sidearms, never really used a Rocket Sidearm in PvP, but maybe if I get this I will give it a go. Now if for some reason you wanna use a sniper rifle, I think this is the best one, Tranquility. Because since it's an adaptive frame, you can clean up pretty easily after a headshot or in combination with Lightning Rod. And the reason I think it's the best one is because it has elemental capacitor. At least according to Foundry, this is the only kinetic slot adaptive frame with elemental capacitor. And honestly, we really do need elemental capacitor to max out that handling. Now Tranquility has two really good perks in the third column. The best one I think is Under Pressure, because it gives you more accuracy and stability when you have less than half of the magazine. But if you do not want Under Pressure for some reason, you can also go for All Out in Holster, and that way you don't have to run a holster mod in your boots, you can run something else. And I think that's actually a pretty good reason to run Auto Loading Holster. And to show you a sniper that's even more niche, we got Predict's Revenge, because it has Firefly, and Firefly also does enough damage to clean up with Lightning Rod. So maybe you can hit a group of players with Firefly and then clean them up with Lightning Rod. That would make a pretty cool clip, I think. Now I'm gonna talk about heavy weapons, more specifically just rocket launchers. Basically, you can shoot your rocket and then quickly swap to Trinity before getting the kill, and you will get lightning rod because that is on our kill and you do have Trinity on hand. But you wanna have low velocity, not that low, but you do wanna have kind of low velocity so you can have enough time to swap back to Trinity Ghoul. This rocket right here is the one that I use, but I don't think it's the best one. It's the easiest to obtain. If you have a lot of engrams with shags, you can get a decent roll of this. And that's really all you need, just a decent roll. You don't need anything crazy. But if you do want to optimize, then you can use Sleepless. It's kind of a pain to farm, but if you want to go for it, this is what you are looking for. The blast radius masterwork to max out and then just build into velocity. The thing that matters the most is slick draw. That means you can swap faster to Trinity Ghoul, and then you can use either demo or chain reaction. Again, I prefer demo for the ability region. So yeah, this is definitely the best rocket launcher you can use for Trinity. Now, you can also do the same thing with grenade launchers. Personally, I will just stick to rocket launchers. Okay, so before I start here, I want to let you know very quickly that I won't be going over every single detail of these subclasses. I'm only gonna talk about the things that actually matter with Trinity gameplay. First, I'm gonna go over the arc subclasses, and to start, I'm gonna tell you that the arc subclasses are substantially better than the prismatic subclasses for three main reasons. Reason number one is the lightning rod loop potential. Since there's more arc abilities, you have more opportunities to loop lightning rod. Reason number two is the high amplified uptime. Amplified helps a lot with the feel of Trinity, so it's actually pretty important. Reason number three is the specific selection of fragments, which are very helpful with Trinity gameplay. Okay, so first I'm gonna get the supers out of the way. I'm gonna be prioritizing the supers that can give you lightning rod if possible. For Hunter, Gathering Storm is the only super that can give you lightning rod. If you are at a distance of 30 meters or higher from the point of impact of Gathering Storm, you can get lightning rod off of your super. For Warlock, both supers work, though not as well as Gathering Storm. Chaos Reach can give you lightning rod, but it has a little bit of a timing. And Storm Trance can give you lightning rod too, but only if you get a kill at the very end of your super. As for Titan, technically you can use both Fist of Havoc and Thunder Crush. The actual super will not give you lightning rod, but if you get a kill with the aftershocks with Trinity on hand, you will get lightning rod. Now I'm gonna go over the fragments so I don't have to repeat them every time I go over each character. So the fragments that you wanna be running on a Trinity loadout are Spark of Resistance for the damage reduction, Spark of Recharge for the ability cooldown, Spark of Feedback for the increased melee damage, Spark of Shock so you can jolt with your grenades, Spark of Haste will give you free stats for sprinting, Spark of Instinct will deal a little bit of extra damage and it will jolt nearby targets, Spark of Ions can be useful sometimes to create ionic traces which do give you extra ability energy, Spark of Discharge on Warlock is a very good choice because ionic traces will make you amplified. Spark of Frequency is a really good choice on Titan because Titan doesn't have stuff like a Forbidden Aspect that give you reload speed. And that is all for the fragments. And just so I also get this topic out of the way, I'm gonna talk about the grenades. Basically, the better grenade you can use with Trinity is Arc Ball Grenade because you can get a pretty fast cleanup with Lightning Rod, and Arc Ball can hit multiple targets for full damage at the same time. So this is definitely the best grenade you can use for Trinity. The other grenades are really not that good of a choice. Blinding Grenade doesn't have that much damage radius. Pulse Grenades are more of a PvE choice. Storm Grenades are really bad without Touch of Thunder, and even with Touch of Thunder, they've got pretty nerfed in the past, so they're not as good of a choice anyways. Drip Grenades, even with Shinobus, are very inconsistent, so please never use skip grenades. lightning grenades have a very long cooldown for what they do. Finally, flux grenades, I think they're not horrible, but they do have a higher skill gap and they don't have a lot of multi-kill potential, at least not as much as arc bolts do. Starting with Arc Strider, so you can loop these two in a fight very easily. For each stack that you have of combination blow, you will get less health. 0 stacks of combo blow will give you 100 health. 1 stack of combo blow will give you 80, times 2 will give you 60, times 3 will give you 40. Now going over the aspects, the one aspect that you always want to have is flow state. Flow state is a must. This is a fragment that will give you all of your amplified uptime. Defeating a jolted target will make you amplified, so your grenades will make you amplified if you have Spark of Shock. Gathering Storm jolts, so you will get amplified from Gathering Storm. And then if you have either Lethal Current or Tempest Strike, those two have jolting capability, so you will also get amplified from those. Plus, when you are amplified, 1, your dodge regenerates insanely faster, and 2, you gain reload speed from being amplified, which is very good for Trinity. Lethal Current is the better choice in my opinion, especially if you're on controller like me. Dodging will give you a crazy melee launch, it's like 6.5 meters I think, plus the jolting that I already mentioned, and on top of that, an extra explosion that will do extra damage. As for Tempest Strike, it's also a good choice, but there's a reason why it's not as good as Lethal Current. That is because you use your melee charge. Well, if you use Tempest Strike, you're not getting the heal from combination blow. It does do really good damage and it does have really good range. Unless you're an MNK, I will not consider using Tempest Strike over Lethal Current. So if you're on MNK, Tempest Strike is not a bad choice, but even so, I still think Lethal Current is the better aspect to run. Going into Striker, the best class ability to use in my opinion is Thruster, because you can close the gap really fast to go in for a knockout kill. If you have more passive playstyle, you can use the Barricade, but even so I think I will still consider using Thruster. The melees though, I won't lie to you, I've only tried Thunderclap. I think it's the better option because you can use this as a ranged melee. Plus, with this melee you can get a one-hit kill, which could be a pretty free lightning rod. As for the grenade, I run lightning grenade because of Touch of Thunder. Touch of Thunder boosts your grenades, and what it does for lightning grenades is it gives you 2 charges and it gives your lightning grenades intrinsic jolt. By having intrinsic jolt on my lightning grenades, I don't have to run a Spark of Shock, and instead I can run Spark of Frequency. And then obviously the other aspect is knockout, because well yeah, it's a no-brainer. On melee hits you're gonna get amplified, so this is gonna be your main source of amplified, and it also gives you increased melee damage, which is really good. If you have knockout proc, you can do a Trinity body shot into a knockout base melee and that will kill, and you will get lightning rod off of that. Plus, it also heals you. This is your main source of healing. And finally, Stormcaller. The rift, obviously healing rift, because there's nothing else in here that will give you healing, so you might as well just run healing rift for that little bit of extra healing sometimes. Plus, healing rifts are really good for big shooting, which you can definitely do with Trinity since it's a bow, so healing rift is the better option here. If you're thinking about using Empowering Rift, it's not a horrible choice. Like I mentioned earlier, it does allow you to double body shot with Trinity. But again, there is 0 healing, at least in base Stormcaller, so I will still suggest using Healing Rift. As for the melees though, both melees are really good. Ball Lightning, I think it's the obvious choice that most people think of right away. It's a ranged melee that can also hit people through cover, so it's obviously really good, but look at the cooldown. The other option is Chain Lightning, which is secretly pretty good. It has 6 meters of range, which is sadly less than knockout. But the main thing about it is Jolt plus its own chain damage, which can go back and forth between players, and the cooldown is shorter than Ball Lightning. So basically, if you want to do a lot of lightning surges, I will recommend using Chain Lightning because of the cooldown. If you're not gonna do that many lightning surges, you're just gonna do them here and there when you see the opportunity, run Ball Lightning is definitely better because it's a ranged melee. The grenade, again, arc ball grenades, we are using Spark of Shock obviously. As for the aspect, I already mentioned lightning surge, hit a body shot and follow up with the lightning surge and that will kill. Plus, lightning surge does give you amplified on cast. You can also use it as a movement option, but to be fair, you're not on prismatic, you don't have a bunch of charges, so I will not recommend using it as a movement option unless you really need to. The other aspect is electrostatic mine. This is your main source of amplified, so basically any ability kills or jolt kills will create an ionic trace, and picking up ionic traces will make you amplified. Now this is why we are running Spark of Discharge. Every 2 Trinity kills in the same life will give you an ionic trace, and that ionic trace will 1 give you amplified because of electrostatic mine, and 2 it will give you a bit of ability energy, which is notably helpful on this subclass because our melee is not intrinsic like on Hunter and Titan. Hunter gets the combo blow dodge loop and Titan gets knockout on the base melee, but Stormcaller doesn't get anything. So what I like to do is to run high strength so I can get the best cooldown on my bow lining, plus Spark of Recharge, plus Spark of Discharge, plus the ionic traces that I make from my own abilities. So all of this is to help you have a high melee uptime. Okay, so now for the Prismatic Subclasses, same deal. Starting with the supers. For Hunter, there is no super that can give you lightning rod, so you can use whatever you want. And as for Titan and Warlock, Stormcaller and Thunder Crash are a bit niche to get lightning rod with, so really you can use whatever super you want in all 3 prismatic subclasses, but I will still recommend the Arc supers simply because of the harmonic mods. Now for the fragments again, so I don't have to repeat them later. The ones that I usually use are Facet of Protection for the extra DR, Facet of Dominance to make my grenades jolt, Facet of Blessing for the extra heal on melee kill, Facet of Mending for the extra heal on grenade kills, Facet of Hope for the faster class ability regen, Facet of Balance for the faster melee cooldowns, Facet of Awakening because it allows you to create ionic traces, Facet of Purpose can be useful if you're using a stasis or a solar super because it does give us restoration or frost armor, maybe even with an arc super because it will give us amplified as well. And just to mention these last 2, Facet of Ruin and Facet of Command may be kinda useful if you're freezing a lot, but I still think there's better choices over here. Now to actually start with Prismatic Hunter, the abilities are pretty much the same as you will run on Arc Strider, Gambler's Dodge and Combination Blow because you can loop them around. Hunter has Arbor Grenade on the Prismatic kit, so this is what you should be running. As for the aspect, Stealth Executioner is the one you always want because debuff kills will make you invisible, which is not really the great part. The great part about this is that you get wall hacks, so if you're running Spark of Dominance, your arc bolts will jolt, you get an arc bolt kill, you go invis, get wall hacks, get a heal. And now since you're invis, you got wall hacks, you got the arc heal, you probably have lightning rod, so you can just hit people through corners more precisely with lightning rod since you can see them through the walls. The other 2 fragments that you can run are Winter Shroud, so again, if you have Chill Clip, you can get a pretty free freeze combo with Winter Shroud. The other aspect is Gunpowder Gamble, so you get ability kills, you will eventually charge up Gunpowder Gamble. So if you throw Gunpowder Gamble at a group of players and you shoot it out of the sky with Lightning Rod, you will get at the very least 1 kill with Lightning Rod, which will give you your Lightning Rod back. So yeah, Gunpowder Gamble is very good to throw it at a group of players or maybe just 1 player, because you're almost guaranteed that they will die. So this is very good as well. Now abilities for Titan, again, Froster, Thunderclap, maybe you can use Silver Strike if you want the movement. The grenades here are pretty disappointing. Your 2 best bets are Suppressor Grenades or Shackle Grenades to keep people in place. Maybe you can even use Glacier Grenades if you're missing the Barricade. As for the aspects, well, this is pretty obvious right now. Knockout, a must. It's what gives you amplified and gives you the melee damage, and you can also create lances with knockout. I don't know if this will get nerfed at some point, but right now you can do it, so the best choice is definitely Diamond Lance. So basically you get a Trinity kill, you get Lightning Rod, and you use Thruster into Lightning Rod into melee. You probably have knockout proc, so you clear a Diamond Lance, so you pick up the Diamond Lance and you just free someone and kill them. You get your Lightning Rod back because you have knockout. You know how it goes. It's just a really strong combo. But if it ever does get nerfed, you can use Unbreakable. Unbreakable gives you an overshield, which I think is kind of useful. You can also use it to kind of escape some situations. Unbreakable not a bad option if you feel like you cannot use Diamond Lances anymore. And finally, Prismatic Warlock, Healing Rift. For the jumps you have Burst Glide again, or you can maybe try out Blink. I forgot to mention this earlier on Hunter, but this also applies to Warlock, so I'm just gonna say it. Blink is not a horrible choice because of the nature of Blink taking your radar out and having a little bit of a cooldown on your guns. I wouldn't recommend it that much, but if you have that aggressive of a playstyle, you can definitely try out Blink and see how it feels for you. I don't believe it's a horrible choice. For the melees, it's either Chain Lightning or Arcane Needle. I think it's pretty obvious why we use Arcane Needles, because we have more charges of Lightning Surge, but you can also use Chain Lightning. If somebody gets close to you, you can follow up with Chain Lightning and still get Lightning Rod, as where if you had Arcane Needle, you have to follow up with the base melee, and that will heal you if you have Positive Blessing, but it will not give you Lightning Rod. The grenades here, the three best choices here are Healing Grenade, for, well, the healing, Trailing Grenade if you wanna start an engagement with a little bit of damage, or Cold Snap Grenades if you wanna freeze someone and maybe get a free Chain Lightning hit off of them. As for the aspects, this is pretty obvious. Lightning Surge and Feed the Void. Now, I already talked about Lightning Surge. Feed the Void, it's, well, Devour. Feed the Void will give Devour a full health and shields regen on kill. You hit a body shot, you follow up with the Lightning Surge, get Lightning Rod because it's an arc kill, then you get Devour because it's an ability kill, so now you have Lightning Rod with Devour. If there was anybody nearby, they're probably low, so you just have to shoot at the floor, kill them with Lightning Rod, and then you're gonna heal from Devour. It's actually a pretty strong combo when it does work out for you. Again, you can use this if you want to, but the optimal thing will always be the arc subclasses. Now before I start talking about exotic armor, I'm gonna tell you that I'm not gonna talk about every single exotic armor in the game, only the ones that have some sort of potential to pair with Trinity, and also that I try to be as subjective as possible. Maybe I have an opinion or two that could impact where I put the exotic in the tier list. Now to start with the Hunter exotics, I'm gonna tell you right away that the best thing you can use is Oathkeeper. It's no surprise, Oathkeeper gives you a ton of AE on your bow and what is equal to a draw time masterwork, so those are two things that Trinity definitely needs. Starting with Assassin's Cowl, this exotic gives you a lot of utility because on melee kills you gain both Invis and a pretty big chunk of health. I think it's around 150 health. Assassin's Cowl is buffing your combination blow or giving you the opportunity to gain heal from Tempest Strike plus the Invis, which is kinda nice, but we want this mainly for the healing. And because of that, I'm gonna put it in good. Next up is Mask of Valkyries. This exotic gives you two things: a better, more aggressive type of dodge and times 4 surge damage buff. Now, like I mentioned before, damage buffs do pretty much nothing to Trinity, but Light Shift can pretty much serve as a replacement for Lethal Current. Now, Valkyries does have some drawbacks because you need to be using Silence and Squall on Prismatic, and that means no harmonic mods. So because of that, and because damage buffs don't really do much, I'm gonna put this in okay. Now for Bombardiers, this exotic actually surprised me a lot when I tried it. You dodge and a little explosive shows up. Now that explosive deals somewhere around 75. I am not entirely sure whether it does have damage fall off depending on the range, but from what I experienced, it does do enough damage to combo with Lightning Rod. Plus, if you're running Arc, that explosion will blind them for a bit. I'm gonna put this exotic in okay. I had a lot of fun with it. Now, if you're wondering why Zero Agnes here, I don't remember if I mentioned it before, so I'm gonna say it now. Because combination blow stacks make your base melee ability Arc, and that does actually work with grapple melee as well. Now that is a little bit inconsistent sometimes, at least I find it to be. But you know, if you're on Prismatic and you wanna run grapple, you can use this exotic. Now, is it good? No, there's definitely better options. Even if you are running grapple, you could run something else. I don't know why you would want woven mail that much. Now, because someone mentioned that they use this exotic, sure, it works on dodge and you're dodging a lot, and sure, it takes the radar off of enemies, but Geminis are not where they used to be, and since you're gonna be at people's faces all the time, I don't think it's that big of a deal to take them off radar because they can still see you. Of course, Gemini works fine with Invis builds and such, but for Trinity gameplay, especially on Arc Strider, it's actually not that great. Now, Gifted Conviction, you jolt someone, if they're close to you, you get resist times 2. If you apply jolt twice, you get resist times 3. If you apply jolt 3 times, then you get resist times 4. I will tell you, this exotic is good. If the values were higher, sure, you can combine this with Spark of Resistance to make it higher, but at least from what I experienced when I tried this, it doesn't really save you for much. I don't think it's very worth using. Now, Frostis. From here on out, you're gonna see a trend, basically ability regen exotics. So because ability regen exotics do help you, I will put them in okay, because even though you do get your abilities faster, they don't really do much for your general gameplay overall, but they're a nice thing to have either way. Liar's Handshake. This is basically Spark of Feedback, but on steroids. So if somebody melees you, or you melee them, your next melee is going to have like a bazillion more damage, and you will take advantage of it even more if you have a very aggressive playstyle. So Liar's Handshake, actually pretty good. Speed Loader Slacks. You dodge and you get a timer that gives you increased reload and handling plus airborne effectiveness. So reload is very good for Trinity, handling is really good for Trinity, AE is very good for Trinity, but they're really not that big of a deal because on Hunter you have flow state. So if you're amplified, you have 100 handling anyways, and with flow state you have 100 reload too. And if you want AE, you could just be running Outkeeper, and that will give you enough AE plus strat time. So honestly, these are okay, because they do give you all that without the need of being amplified, but amplified kind of takes the job here. If amplified wasn't exotic, I will put it here. This one kind of hurts me a lot. Lucky Raspberry. So what this exotic does is kind of buff your arc bolt grenade. Arc bolts usually only chain up to 3 targets. With Lucky Raspberry, they can chain up to 4 targets. Also, if you damage enemies with Jolt, you will get 20% of your arc bolt back. Plus, picking up Ionic Traces will give you an extra 5% energy for your arc bolt. They're not horrible. Again, it's an ability regen exotic, but this used to be so good before they got reworked. I used to run this a lot, but after the rework, it's honestly not that great. Radiant Dance Machines. So what they do is you dodge nearby an enemy and you get an additional 4 subsequent dodges. If your timer runs out, your dodge ability goes away, but I found out that sometimes when you die and your timer is still up and your dodge is still up, you keep your dodge when you respawn. Didn't happen every time, but it happened sometimes, but they're still not that good. Now Stompies, we all know Stompies. Movement exotic, buffs your jump, buffs your sprint speed, buffs your slide distance. So very good for movement. I will just put it in okay. Now Rages, I don't remember if it was by jolting targets or killing jolted targets, but you know, super exotic, it's not that big of a deal. Now Wormhusk, you dodge, you heal. That's it. It's pretty straightforward exotic and pretty good too. Now it does have a cooldown. if you are looping combo blow dodge a lot, you will not heal, you'll only heal on the first dodge, but it's still a pretty good exotic because you can kind of save your dodge for when you actually need it. Sealed Ahamkara Grass. You get a melee hit and you get movement like Stompies and a bit of AE. So is it good? No, it's not good. It's trying to do two things, trying to give you AE, it's trying to give you movement, but it doesn't really succeed at any of those because that buff only lasts for 5 miserable seconds. I suppose you can pair this with Tempest Strike, but even so, if you want movement, you can use Stompies. If you want AE, you can use Oathkeeper. Now Shinobu's Bow. This buffs your skip grenades, makes them track more aggressively, and gives you a second charge. Is it good? No, but not because of the exotic. The exotic does its work. Getting a second charge helps you with your grenade uptime, and they do track more aggressively. But like I said before, skip grenades themselves are very inconsistent, even with Shinobus. So that's the only reason you should not be using this, because you shouldn't even be using skip grenades in the first place. Now, Knucklehead Radar. This is currently one of the most meta exotics in the game, and it's for one single reason, and it's that it gives you free wall hacks. This is very good with Trinity, because if you are reverse swapping, you can assure yourself that you are going to hit them with Lightning Rod. Now, honorable mentions, Lucky Pants and Trick Sleeves. Lucky Pants buff your hand cannon, and Trick Sleeves buff your sidearms. If you're pairing Trinity with a sidearm or a hand cannon, you could think of using these. If you want to use them, they're not a horrible choice, because at the end of the day, they are buffing your pairing at the very least, and that's a good thing to have. Okay, so for Warlock, again, the most optimal thing you can use, Ophidians. They give you handling, but most importantly, a lot of reload. It's the only exotic that does give you all that. Plus, it gives you a little bit more a transpersives, movement exotic, so okay. Best pair of radius, you throw your rift, it creates an arc shockwave, and then other subsequent shockwaves every 5 seconds. Every shockwave does 100 damage. Now, is it good? I think it's fun, but it's honestly not that great. Though I am pretty convinced that a person with a lot of time that puts in the effort could actually get good with this exotic and make it work pretty well with Trinity. Mantle Battle Harmony. Get Trinity kills, get extra super energy. If you have your super full, then you get a ×4 surge damage buff for every single kill you get. Is it good? Not really. Super cooldown exotic. Astrocyte. This does buff your blink. I will count this as a movement exotic. Now for my own playstyle, I really don't like blink, but again, if you have a really aggressive playstyle, maybe you can make better use of blink. I'm gonna put it in okay, because again, movement exotic. Flaws of Ahamkara. All this exotic does is give you an extra charge for your melee, and it has intrinsic heavy-handed. Now I do actually think this is good. It's funny because it's a very simple exotic, but it does so much for your gameplay. The fact that this has heavy-handed means that on Stormcaller you can heal from melee kills, at least power melee kills, if you pick up the orb. Eye of Another World, ability cooldown exotic. This is passive though, so you don't have to do anything for this to proc. Again, it's okay. Pairings Brow. Trinity kills will buff your grenade, regen, and damage. So basically, ability cooldown exotic. It's not that great because one kill will give you 20%, and every subsequent kill will give you an extra 20% until 5 stacks, so you can get your grenade faster, and the extra damage from the grenade at ×1 is enough to get a Trinity headshot followed by an arc bolt, and that will kill. But if you have 1 stack of Verity, that means you got a Trinity kill, and if you got a Trinity kill, you got Lightning Rod, and if you get Lightning Rod, you don't really need the extra damage from the arc bolt because they will die regardless. This exotic is not that great. Crown of Tempest. Get an ability kill, you will get extra ability regen, and the numbers for this one are crazy. 1 stack of Conduction Times will give you 168% boost to your ability regen. 2 stacks will give you 335%. And at 3 stacks, you will get a 503% boost. That is very, very good. Now, of course, for that you do have to get multiple consecutive ability kills, but with stuff like Lightning Surge, that's not impossible. And if you get at least 2, you will get a crazy chunk of ability anyways. And the fact that it only lasts for 4 seconds makes it actually kinda better, because that means that you don't have to worry about dying and losing the buff, since the buff will go out pretty quickly. So I actually think Crown of Tempest is pretty solid exotic. Plus, I forgot to mention, it also boosts the duration of your storm trends. So this will make a super that will usually run out pretty fast, last for way longer. The other one is Fallen Sunstar. Now this is not as good as Crown of Tempest, but it does help a lot. It does give you extra energy on Ionic Traces, and you are making a lot of Ionic Traces, so I'm gonna put it in okay. Now Fellwinter's Helm, if you get a charge melee heal, a lot of things will happen. So you will create an explosion, and that explosion will affect every enemy in a 15 meters radius. It will give you a damage buff on them, and it will blind them for around 10 seconds. But that blind is not like arc blind, more like a smoke bomb blind. So basically they will have a black screen and a debuff for a whole 10 seconds. So this exotic is pretty good. Now Karnstein Armlets. What this exotic does is you get a melee kill, doesn't need to be a charge melee kill, will give you cure times 3 and restoration times 1. I was complaining about how Stormcaller doesn't have any healing. Well, this exotic gives you that healing that's missing from Stormcaller. I feel like there's no point using them on Prismatic because you have Devour already, but using this on Stormcaller makes them pretty good. Getaway Artist, you swallow your Arc Grenade and you get an Arc Soul. For Prismatic, they're actually nice. If you don't want to use any of the grenades that I suggested on Warlock, you can put on Stormnade and swallow it to get a better Arc Soul than you will get from your Rift on Stormcallers. If you use this on Prismatic, they're okay. The stack, so you put your Rift down, you get a 5% DR plus the healing of your Rift. If you get low health, you get a chunk of Rift energy. And because you're using Rift a lot, this exotic can benefit from using Arc Soul instead of Lightning Surge. This is actually not a horrible choice because you can pick shoot better with Trinity. Plus you have the Arc Soul to help you with that chip damage. So I'm gonna put this in okay. Now for the honorable mention, Mariodoxia, I believe it's pronounced. So I wasn't even planning on putting this here because it's very obviously a strand exotic, but this exotic does give you wall hacks. So if you're on Prismatic, you can use your Arcane Needle on someone and mark them, and you will see them through walls, very similar to how you do with Knucklehead. Now I'm not too sure about the damage on Arcane Needle, but regardless, it's wall hacks, and I already explained why wall hacks are a good thing to have on Trinity. Now, do I think this exotic is good? At least not if you're the one using them. If you have another teammate and they're using Mariodoxia, they can help you mark enemies so you can easily finish them off with Lightning Rod. So if you're using them, maybe not that good because you could be using something else, but if you have a teammate that's using this, I think they're pretty good. I forgot one exotic that I was also gonna put in honorable mentions, and it's Sanguine Alchemy, because these also give you wall hacks. You can put your Rift down, and when you shoot at people, you will get the wall hack. So again, kinda like Knucklehead, this can be used as kind of training wheels, but because you do need to be on your Rift, I will rather put them in the honorable mentions instead of actually putting it in the tier list. And lastly, Titan. Now I'm actually gonna make a change to the tier list. Titan doesn't really have any optimal exotic you can use because there's nothing that actually boosts Trinity itself, at least not in a practical way. But I will tell you right away what I consider to be the better exotic, at least in my opinion, and that is One-Eyed Mask. This is what I run on my Titan. One-Eyed Mask will give you healing from anything. You just need to get the kill from anybody who shot you first, and you will get an insta shield that's 80 plus health, though it only lasts for 5 seconds, and you will start regenerating your health. Peregrine drifts, so if you run in the air for a bit, you get a damage boost to your shoulder charge, and you can pretty much one hit kill anybody with your shoulder charge. Pretty much a free lightning rod, but once you use up your shoulder charge, pretty much have no exotic. I'm gonna put this in meh. Our Momentarium, bugs aside, because you know double grenade charge is bug, wouldn't be a horrible choice. Now obviously if you're running lightning grenades on Touch of Thunder, you don't need this, but maybe you wanna run other grenades that's having double charges is actually good. And they also intrinsically have the mod that creates orbs on a grenade kill. I am gonna put this in okay. If you want double grenades, Touch of Thunder, lightning grenades kinda clears Armamentarium. Cuirass of the Falling Star, again, super cool and exotic, so I'm gonna put it on meh. Eternal Warrior, again, damage buff, doesn't do much. Lion Rampant, this is usually the exotic that people run with bows on Titan, because it allows you to draw your bow while you're using your lift, similar to Hunter Jump, similar to Warlock on hit rises. So that's the only reason people use this exotic. It also gives you A on hip fire, and that's kind of the thing with this exotic, is that they only work on hip fires. If your jump is active and you aim before canceling your jump, Trinity will auto release and you will get the horrible spread. So the only reason I see anybody using this on Trinity is because they miss the Hunter or hit rises aspect of drawing your bow while jumping, but in that case just use Hunter. This exotic is not really that great for Trinity. Now School Fort, when you get a charge melee kill, you will begin your health regen and you will get your whole melee back, plus the heal of knockout. Because it is a melee, you will practically get your whole health back, but I'm gonna put it in okay, because just like Peregrines, if you lose your melee, that's it. It is a good exotic though, just don't miss your melee. Now Dune Markers, again, movement exotic, so I'm gonna put it in okay. But this does have the nice addition of chaining damage to nearby targets when you melee them. Now that doesn't do enough damage to kill, but if you kill a jolted target with a melee, the chaining from the Dune Markers plus the chaining from the jolt is enough damage to kill in combination with Lightning Rod. But that's kind of a weird scenario. Precious Scars. When you get a Trinity kill, you get restoration ×1 for a few seconds. So it's pretty much free heal on Trinity kills. So I will consider this to be very good. Feedback Fence. This is a very nice exotic, kinda similar to Liars. Punching people gives you armor charge, and if you have armor charge when somebody melees you, you get melee damage DR, plus you release an explosion that does more or less damage depending on how many armor charges you have. So this is actually pretty nice, but unlike Liars, you are kinda depending entirely on other people meleeing you. So that's the only reason I'm not putting them on good. They're still a very nice exotic to use though. Now Synthesept, so what they do is if you're surrounded, you get a very high melee damage buff. You can one hit kill people if you have knockout proc, even without knockout I believe. And you also get increased handling, increased reload speed. But it's all pretty locked by the fact that you have to be surrounded. So instead you could do something else and just put on Spark of Frequency, which gives you reload speed on melee hit. So I don't think Synthos are that good. And that same thing is gonna apply for Worm Gods. They don't even give you handling or anything, so they are like a one hit kill melee kind of exotic. And they also give you a weapon damage buff, which is a pretty high one, but it's not high enough, so it's not that useful. So I'm just gonna put it here. Now Heart of Inmost, not horrible. It is an ability regen exotic, and you don't even need kills to proc the ability regen. All you have to do is use your thruster. And if you're using your abilities in an active engagement, then you're probably gonna get a lot of regen from this exotic, so it's not that bad. Now for the honorable mentions, Severance Enclosure. When you get a melee kill, you create a kinetic damage explosion that one hit kills any resilience. Now the exotic is pretty funny, but since the damage is kinetic, I'm putting this in the honorable mentions. And the other one is Peacekeepers for the same reason as Lucky Pens and Trick Sleeves. If you wanna pair Trinity with an SMG, you could use this if you don't have anything else to run. So when I made the tier list, I was talking about Cannon Brace, and I originally put this in meh, but after further testing, I have to say that Cannon Brace is actually an okay exotic. When you melee someone with Thunderclap, you create a shockwave that does around 30 something damage, but if you're amplified it does around 46 damage. So my original consensus was that the shockwave doesn't do enough damage to combo with lightning rod, which is why I put this in meh. But then I realized my mistake, and it's that I didn't account for the jolting. When you hit another player with Thunderclap, you also jolt them. The shockwave in combination with jolt is enough to kill in combination with lightning rod. I still won't put this in good because the shockwaves don't have an insane amount of range. If they had more range, maybe. But also, I just think that Skullford is still better than Cannon Brace. Now, I'm really quickly gonna go over the class item perks. If you wanna know what this spreadsheet is, it's Destiny Data Compendium. I will link it in the description. And you got the descriptions right here, so I won't even bother reading them. I'm just gonna tell you if they're good, okay, or meh. So Assassin is okay, Inmost Light is okay, Syntoceps is meh, Ophidian is meh because it only gives you handling, doesn't give you reload speed. Verity is meh. These are the general ones. So now for Hunter, K.O.D.O is okay. Caliban is okay, but Caliban gets the kill, then you will not get lightning rod off of that. Ragni is okay in the class item because it's on any grenade, not necessarily grapple nade. Dragon is actually good because it does give you reload speed on dodge. Flyers is good. Wormhusk is good. This is a damage buff, so it's meh. So now for Titan, Alpha Lupi, very good, at least at the time. This thing is pretty busted. Severance is okay. Contact is okay. Scars is good. Armamentarium is okay. Eternal Warrior is a damage buff, so it's meh. And lastly for Warlock, Harmony is meh. Apotheosis, because it's in the class item and it's a free ability refill, I think it's okay. Osmiomancy is okay if you want to run Cold Snaps, but again, only in the class item. I will not run this as the actual exotic. Claw is good, and yes, it doesn't have the orb generation, but you are on Prismatic, so you don't really need the orb regen, you get healing from Devour. Stag, again, is okay if you have pretty passive gameplay, and again, Vesper is meh. Okay, so now I'm gonna talk about my mods and my stats. I'm gonna start out with my mods because honestly these are gonna be pretty consistent toward all three characters. Start with my helmet. I run an arc targeting. It can also be a harmonic targeting, but I like to fill up the little squares, so I run arc targeting. I also run a siphon and an inflight compensator. With Outkeepers, you already have above 60 AE, so you don't really need the in-flight compensator. But I'm a controller, so I kinda need this. But if you're in a main K, maybe you feel like you don't need this, you can maybe swap this off for another targeting. Now about the siphon, you don't really need this siphon, but the more orbs the better. So if you can fit this in, definitely put it in. But if you can, it's no big deal. Now for the arms, this is gonna be the same on all three classes. So you wanna run at least one arc loader and one arc dexterity. Even with Ophidian's flow state or spark of frequency, you still wanna run an arc loader because those three things only give you the reload speed stat. The arc loader gives you a little bit of reload speed stat, but most importantly, it gives you a reload animation multiplier. So please run the arc loader, it's very useful. And the same thing is true for the arc dex. Even if you have 100 handling because of outfits or amplified, you still want to run the arc dex because it doesn't give you handling. This gives you a multiplier as well. So these two kind of always need to be there. Now fastfall, I like to run fastfall because I like to be precise with my grenades. But if you don't want this, then you can just run either a heavy-handed or maybe another dex for your pairing, whatever you feel like it's good. I will definitely recommend heavy-handed since most of the builds are gonna be melee based. Heavy-handed really helps you a lot. Like I said, the more orbs, the better. Now for the chest, I always run a 3-point stat mod because if I put a 4-point stat mod, I can't fit in the extra unflinching for my hand cannon. I always run 2 harmonic unflinchings and 1 unflinching for my round robin. Maybe if you're not using a precision weapon like a hand cannon or a slug shotgun or a sniper rifle, you don't need this. Like you can just take this off and then you do have space for a 4-point mod. But I like running double unflinching and I like running an unflinching for my hand cannon. So I always run a 3-point mod here. But that's just my preference. For your boots, this is also gonna be pretty consistent. You wanna have these too because it's extra healing and this is the reason you want to make orbs in the first place. Recuperation gives you a little health boost and better already starts health regen. So these two are pretty powerful combo. And then the holster for your pairing, unless you're running a grenade launcher, because holsters don't work on grenade launchers, then you maybe could be running something like Absolution for your abilities. Maybe you're on Warlock and you want to use Invigoration, maybe you can run double recuperation, which is also very, very good. But again, if you are not running a grenade launcher, I will really suggest just keeping it like this. Now for the class item, this is the same thing on Hunter and Titan. You want a Reaper and you want a powerful attraction. This is because it's very easy to get a kill at the same time as you're using your dodge or your thruster. So you will create a nerf of power from Reaper and you will pick it up instantly because of powerful attraction, and that will proc better already and recuperation. That's a really easy way to get a free heal out of a Trinity Ghoul. Now, because we have space for it, you can run either a Bomber or an Outreach. I recommend Bomber for your Hunter. For Titan, whatever you like, it's fine. If you want Bomber, use it. If you want Outreach, use that. Now for Warlock, you probably look something more like this because you only have your Rift. And this is also for Titan if you're using a Barricade. And I don't think running Reaper Powerful Attraction is good on a class ability like Barricade or Rift. Now I'm gonna be talking about my stats. This is gonna be a little bit more subjective because these are just the stats that I like to run. Maybe you want your distribution to be a little different, that's fine. But this is what I personally like to run. So on my Hunter, of course, 100 mobility because I care about my dodge. Also just for the movement and stuff. And then recovery, I run 80. On every character, I always run 80 because I like to have my healing be consistent across all characters. Now, because I don't have to worry about strength on my Hunter, I just run 80 discipline. And the reason I don't run 100 is because I can put a little bit of intellect in my distribution as well. And because Gathering Storm doesn't have that slow of a cooldown, you don't have to run that much intellect. Of course, if you want to have your super faster, then run higher intellect. But for me, 50 is a sweet spot. And then I just dump everything else that I could dump on my resilience. Now these are the stats that I run on my Titan. Again, I care about my mobility. 70 is the bare minimum that I will run on any class. It's actually a pretty important stat, even though some people don't think so. If you are an MNK, maybe you don't care a lot about this because you get to Titan's Gate. Resilience for Titan means your class ability regen, and you want to have your thruster as fast as you can get it. So running high resilience is good. I find that 70 is a sweet spot for me regarding the thruster cooldown. If I could run more, I totally would. Again, 80 recovery. Then here on Titan, at least I care more about my strength than my discipline, because with Touch of Thunder I get to have double grenades, and I care about my melee cooldown because again Thunderclap is a very reliable melee, so you kind of want to have high strength. Well, at least I want to have high strength. And again, 50 intellect, sweet spot. I know Thunder Crash has a higher cooldown than Gathering Storm, but still, I think 50 is fine. If I play trials with my Trinity Titan, I probably will be running higher intellect though. And just to show them to you, here are the mods. You can see it's basically the same thing I'm running on my Hunter, but instead of Bomber, I'm running Eldritch. And finally, these are the stats that I like to run on my Warlock. Again, 70 mobility, I will not run any less. Again, 80 recovery, even though recovery means Rift cooldown. I don't care that much about the Rift. so 80 is fine for me. Besides, it's a pretty high cooldown anyways, so then for discipline I will run more if I could, but 40 I think is okay. I will not run less than 40 though. And like I mentioned before, I run 100 strength on my Warlock because you don't have an intrinsic arc melee. You have to use your melee charge, so having high strength is pretty important on your Warlock. And again, 50 intellect, sweet spot. And again, Storm Trance doesn't have that fast of a cooldown. But again, I don't really play much trials with my Trinity Warlock. But if I did, I would probably try to run higher intellect. Before I start naming specific damage values, there's one thing that you gotta understand if you want to make up your own proc and loop combos. That is damage values. How much damage you need to clean up with Trinity or any other damage source in the game. Although, like I mentioned before, you could be prioritizing arc abilities if you want to have a better loop potential. Now I already mentioned the damage values before, but since they're relevant now, I'm gonna mention them again. Although this time they're rounded for your sake. So, on body shot damage, Trinity does 102 damage, meaning you can combo with the damage surge dealing 128 damage or higher to kill all resiliences. On a headshot, it does 133 damage, meaning you can combo with the damage source dealing 97 damage or higher to kill all resiliences. And the max lightning rod damage is 150, meaning you can combo with the damage surge dealing 80 damage or higher to kill all resiliences. That is pretty straightforward, really just do your math, it's not that hard. Now I'm gonna go through all the combos that I could think of. Just know that if I, for example, say something like Trinity Ghoul head, then that also applies for the lightning rod damage value since they're higher than the headshot damage. Here are the combos. On general, we have Trinity Ghoul headshot into a Trinity Ghoul body shot, Trinity Ghoul headshot into any arc melee, Trinity Ghoul body shot into any arc melee with spark of feedback, Lightning Rod body shot into a Trinity Ghoul body shot, Lightning Rod on a surface into an arc ball grenade, or really any grenade with a damage value equal or higher to an arc ball. And a pairing with Trinity Ghoul damage, whether it's headshot, body shot, or lightning rod, depends solely on the pairing's damage. Now for Hunter, Trinity Ghoul body shot into lethal current, Trinity Ghoul body shot into a Tempest Strike, Trinity Ghoul body shot into the base or arc melee with 1 stack of combination blow, Trinity Ghoul body shot into a grapple melee with 1 stack of combination blow, and lastly, a gunpowder gamble into a lightning rod to break the gunpowder gamble. Now for Warlock, we have Trinity Ghoul body shot into a lightning surge, a lightning rod on a surface into a ball lightning's vertical lightning at 5 resilience, lightning rod on a surface into chain lightning's chain and jolt damage, Trinity Ghoul body shot into another Trinity Ghoul body shot when standing on an empowering rift, and Arcane Needle into lightning rod on any surface at 9 resilience. Finally, for Titan, Trinity Ghoul headshot to proc knockout into a knockout base melee, or you can start with a Trinity body shot if you already have knockout proc. Trinity Ghoul body shot into a thunderclap, and Fever Strike into Trinity Ghoul body shot. And that's really all of the combos I could think of. As you can see, it's mostly just melees. Like I told you, most Trinity builds are melee based builds. So yeah, I think these are the combos that you're gonna be doing on most of the builds. But again, I already told you how to make your own combos if you wanna get creative with Trinity. Now, finally, after all that context of the previous sections, I'm finally going to show you how your gameplay should look like, or at the very least, how my gameplay looks like, and some, if not all of the strats that I apply on my day-to-day with Trinity. These strats are things that you either want to practice or you're gonna come up naturally when you're playing with Trinity. but these are things that you always want to apply on your gameplay. With the first set of clips that I'm going to show you, I'm gonna be talking about half aiming and early drawing. Mostly so you can see that I did not make them up, but also so you can see how they look like in actual gameplay. So first I'm gonna show you the clip and then I'm gonna explain everything bit by bit. So we press play, you can see right here, I do a reverse swap into a lightning rod, and then lightning rod to body shot, lightning rod to body shot. And you can see how I'm half aiming and I'm also early drawing. But that was a little fast, so let's talk about this. So right here, I start by doing a reverse swap, but I'm not gonna over explain the reverse swap because I'm gonna talk about that a bit later. So you can see right here, I hit the headshot, and then I'm gonna try to hit this surface because that's exactly where this person is going to land on. So because I got lightning rod, I know I don't need the extremely tight spread. I only need my arrows to land somewhere over here so they can hit this player. So you can see right here I'm half aiming so I can get a tighter spread and I can get my arrows to land over here. But if I release like this, my arrows are probably gonna do something really weird. That's why I have to draw just a little bit so I can get the projectile velocity for the arrows to land where I want them to land. And that's what I do. So basically I just half aim, I draw a little bit, and I release like this. And you can see all of the arrows landed over here. You can see this crazy lightning. These are the 3 arrows. And you can see they fit perfectly this little space right here. If I hadn't half aim right here, probably one of the arrows would have got stuck over here and it wouldn't have line of sight to chain. Maybe this arrow would have landed somewhere down here and it also wouldn't have had line of sight to hit this player. So you really need to know when to half aim, even with lightning rod, and also drawing as well, because sometimes maybe you want to draw not for the spread but for the projectile velocity. Because if I hadn't drawn, my arrows probably would have landed over here or something. So drawing, even if just a little bit, is pretty important too, because that projectile velocity is pretty important too. So you can see the arrows hit that person and they die, so I loop lightning rod, and I already know that I'm gonna loop lightning rod. Like by the time they died, I'm already drawing the bow. Like I know they're gonna die. So because I did have lightning rod right here, I don't need to aim or anything because I'm already fully drawn. So I just shoot at the floor so I can hit this player right here. Then I follow up with a body shot. I know I can follow up with a body shot because they got hit by a full lightning rod. The numbers are right here. Because they're close enough, I don't need to draw the whole thing. If they were a little bit further away, I probably would have done a perfect draw. So you can see, I hit this player, so I loop lightning rod. Then right here, I shoot at the floor again. I didn't even draw because there's no point. And then again, I'm gonna hit them with a body shot because I hit them with a full lightning rod. As you can see right here, the extra 9 damage from the explosion, which is not important really most of the time, but you can still see it there. So you can see I'm just gonna hit this person with a body shot. But as you can see right here, I actually did a full aim because they are pretty far. And at the very least do an early draw or a perfect draw. So you can see right there I shoot and I hit them. So then right here, I already saw this person, I know they're there. So I'm gonna shoot at the wall. I'm also gonna talk about this later, it's just reading your radar. Like I know they're there, I'm gonna shoot at the wall and they're gonna get chained by lightning rod. And then right here, you can see I'm drawing my bow already, and by the time my screen or my reticle is on this player, I'm already fully aimed and fully drawn. So if I'd been a little bit faster on my turning, I probably would have aimed or early drawn, but because it took me this long to turn my camera around, you know, controller stuff, it gave me enough time to fully aim and fully draw. And then I just hit them and they die. And as an extra for this clip, you can see right here, I made 2 orbs of power, 1 orb from my siphon and 1 orb from my reaper. And because I dodged, I automatically picked them up and I healed full health. Now that is not exclusive to Trinity, but you know, it's something I do a lot as well. You can kind of see the situations where I do a half aim or an early draw. Sometimes I don't even draw, sometimes I don't even aim. It really depends on the situation, and you're just gonna build that up with game sense. There's no specific situation where I can tell you here you should not aim and here you should not draw. this kinda just comes with game sense and muscle memory too. Next clip, same thing. I'm just gonna show it to you first. So what you can see here at the start, I just kill this person and I get my lightning rod. And then when I get here, I do a reverse swap. And I kill that person. And then right here, because I love lightning rods, I shoot at the floor right here because I know they're there. And then they're low. Now, because this person is really low, I kinda don't need to do anything. They're low enough for one single arrow to hit them and they die. That's exactly what I do here. So I just aim. I didn't even fully draw. I just did a half aim for the spread to be a little bit tighter so I know I'm gonna hit them. And then I just drew a little bit for the projectile velocity. And then I release. And I hit them. Now right here I got kinda lucky, I won't lie. I hit them with a side arrow, not the center arrow. But that's still what I want to do. You can see only one arrow hit them. The numbers right here is kind of blurry, but there you can kind of see it better here. Only one arrow hit them and they die. So that's something you can also do. Sometimes it's not just about lightning rod. Sometimes maybe you only need one Trinity arrow to kill someone. So you don't need to do a full draw or a full aim or both. Sometimes you only need one of them or none of them. Again, it depends on the situation. In this case, this person was really low, so it allowed me to not have to fully draw and fully aim. This is the last clip that I'm gonna talk about this. So I kill that person, then I just throw my line rod there, and I throw my line rod there, and I headshot this person with line rod, and they die. Same thing as the first clip. So right here, I arrive, I see this person being shot at, so I know they're low-ish. They were low enough for me to hit a headshot on them, and they die. Then this person is the one that's looking at me, so I drew a little bit for the projectile velocity, and again I half aim because I don't need to fully aim or fully draw because I got line rod. I just needed line rod to hit this person, and that's what I did. So then right here, again, because they're low, I only need one arrow to hit them, so I don't need to fully draw or fully aim. So I just do that, and the arrow hits them and they die. Then because early I saw this person go behind here, you can see right there, you can see the shots. That's what matters, you can see the shots right there. So I just throw my line rod there, again, draw for the projectile velocity and half aim because you got lightning rod and this is a very flat surface. I don't need to do anything fancy. I just need to get my line rod right there so that person dies. And then I kinda just sent it here because I wanted the lights out. I didn't know this person was low enough, but luckily they were low enough to die from a lightning rod headshot. Okay, right there I just got kinda lucky. But as you can see from the rest of the clip, it's the same thing as the first one. I'll half aim or I early draw when I need to. Most of the time when I got lightning rod is when I do it, but as you can see, when someone's low enough, I can't also do it, like right here. So again, it depends on the situation, it depends on the other enemy's health, if you have lightning rod, where they are, what surface are you going to shoot. There's a lot of specific scenarios where you can do specific things. I'm gonna go more in depth into reverse swap. Again, I'm just gonna show you the clip first. So this person's coming out of here. Then I see this person over here and I reverse swap on them. Then this person right here and I also reverse swap on them. And well, the clip keeps going, but that's not important. This is what's important. So because I see this ping on the radar right here, I aim and I wait. I know they're gonna pick at some point. Okay, so once they pick, I shoot at them and then I shoot at the floor where they were. Now again, I don't have wall hacks. I'm not cheating, I swear. I just know that because they were walking, they weren't exactly running, they were just walking and they were looking at me, so they were strafing. I know that by the time I shoot, they're probably still nearby, so they die. So I want to tell you again that hand cannons are the best tool for reverse swapping. Not just for the reasons that I already mentioned earlier, but also because of something else, and it's that when you shoot someone with a hand cannon like this, people don't expect to die all of a sudden like that. Okay, this is very sudden. I don't blame anyone for falling into this. This is pretty crazy. So just like in this next scenario right here, I shoot this person with a hand cannon, but they're still engaging. If I'm playing against another Trinity player that's doing this, as soon as I get shot by the hand cannon, I'm running away. I'm not re-peeking that. I'm running away, getting away from the lightning rod range, because I know this person is going to do the same thing as me. But because people are so used to hand cannons, when you shoot them like this with a hand cannon, they're still trying to engage the gunfight, because in their brains they can still win that. If I'm going to keep shooting them with a hand cannon, they still have a chance of winning that gunfight. But of course, I am not going to shoot them with the hand cannon. I'm going to shoot them with lightning rod, and they're just gonna die out of nowhere. If I shot them first with a glaive shot, or a sniper rifle body shot, or a grenade launcher shot, or something else that does more damage or has more of an impact, they probably will get out of the way instead of staying in the gunfight. Because again, if you shoot someone with a sniper rifle, their first thought is, I'm not gonna re-peek, and they're probably gonna run away so they can heal. But if you shoot them with a hand cannon, people who don't know about Trinity are probably just going to stay there in the gunfight. So you can also see this in this next reverse swap that I did right here. So I see this person right here. Again, I shoot with a hand cannon. And you can see, because it's a hand cannon, they're probably thinking like, I can still win this. So they try to snipe me as soon as I re-pick. They miss their shot, but I don't. I mean, not that I can really, because I'm shooting at the floor. And they die from lightning rod. Now this person had the perfect conditions to run away from lightning rod. If they knew, as soon as I get my hand cannon shot on them, they run over here and I can't reach them. Especially because that's a warlock. They're probably like a Dumbblade or something. So it's even easier for them to just get away from the lightning rod. And if I shoot at the floor and I don't kill anyone, I lose my lightning rod. And I have to try and get it again. But again, because they don't know that, I'm just gonna kill them easy like that. Because, you know, I just need to shoot at the floor. Okay, so for this next topic, I'm gonna talk about something that I named the K.O.D.O strat. I just came up with that, I'm sorry. But basically it stands for kill 1, damage 1. So what you do is you kill one person with lightning rod, and with that same lightning rod you damage another one, so you can keep looping your lightning rod off them. And that's exactly what I do here. So you can see a reverse swap right here, and I kill one and I damage the other one. And yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. I just reverse swap on this person. I know they're still there, so I shoot at the floor. Same thing that I mentioned earlier about reverse swapping. And that lightning rod kills this person that I did the reverse swap on. And because this other person was also close enough to the lightning rod, they got hit. So I killed one and I damaged one. So by the time I get my lightning rod back, they can't do anything because I'm full health and they're not. And I just need to shoot at the floor. Like, there's pretty much nothing they can do in that situation. Now this is a rare example for this. I'm kind of playing with this person because I'm trying to make them rest so I can farm everyone. And that's exactly what I do. And you can see it's the same thing. You are going to do this a lot. I did a reverse swap on this person. Then I could have killed them right here. There's no reason I couldn't. But I want them to rest their teammates so I can farm them. So I just wait. And once they're resting, I draw. And I get ready. And as soon as they get rest, I damage both of them. But this person is the one that I want to kill. So I shoot them. And I get ready for the next rest because I know it's gonna happen. So as soon as they rest, I kind of got my timing a little tight right here. I got a little lucky, I won't lie to you. But you can see as soon as they rest, I shoot. And then I kill this person. And I damage this other person. So because this one's still stuck in animation, I can just kill them very easily with lightning rod. Once you get it going, unless you miss for whatever reason or a lightning rod bails on you, it's very hard for the enemy team to do anything against it, unless they're like, I don't know, healing or something. So if you're shooting and they are in an open space, it's especially hard for them to kill you, but it's really hard for you to kill them. And that's exactly what we're gonna see in the next clip. So you're gonna see now, I'm gonna shoot the players that are capping this zone, and they pretty much can do anything because I keep shooting and I'm just shooting at the floor while they actually gotta shoot back at me. So you can see I shoot at the floor there, and then I peek shoot this person, then I peek shoot this person, then I peek shoot another person, and that's it. That's literally it. So, you know, to go step by step again. I see they're capping this zone, so I just shoot at the side of the zone. I know I'm most likely to hit someone. If I don't, then I wasted my lightning rod, but I'm very likely to hit someone in this case. So I just shoot at the floor besides the zone, and I do hit someone. I hit 2 players actually. So I just kill this one. Again, just like in the previous clip, I damaged 2 of them and then I killed 1 of them. So then this player's low. The other player that's over here that I didn't see yet, they're probably full health. So right here I just shoot at the floor because I know they're still capping, and I know this person's gonna die, but I'm still gonna re-peek with my lightning rod in case there's somebody else in here. And well, there was somebody else, so I just shoot at the floor and they died. But because I was peek shooting all that time and just shooting at the floor, they can't really do anything. Only way I could have died in this scenario is if these players had a better team shot. So yeah, this is what I'm going to be calling K.O.D.O from now on. Kind of a silly name, but I like it, so I'm just gonna stick with it. There are a bunch of other clips that I can show you where I do this in a lot of different ways. But again, like I told you earlier, this kind of stuff just comes with game sense. I can't tell you the specific scenarios when you have to do the specific things because that's just not how it works. But again, this is how it looks like. Now this is gonna be the last one for the specific strats, and I'm gonna talk about reading your radar. So well, you can see right here I kill these people, that doesn't really matter, that's not important, this is what's important. So you can see right here, pretty much pre-fired Trinity, which sounds kinda weird, but that's pretty much what happened. Right here, as soon as I turn around, I see this person on my radar, so I know they're somewhere around here. I expect them to come this way. And again, this is the kind of situation where if my prediction is wrong, I'm just gonna waste my lightning rod. But when your prediction is right, the other player pretty much can't do much. So because I know they're very likely to come this way, I'm just gonna shoot at this lane and the lightning rod's gonna do its work. Because this is Destiny 2, this person decided that it would be a good idea to slide in the corner with the shotgun. Which is what everybody does. So you can see them right there, the shotgun's out, but they're already low. By the time I see them, they're already low because of the lightning rod, and I am dodging, so they can't really do much. So right here, that looks really silly. By the time they see me, I'm probably still dodging because, you know, Destiny 2 latency. So that's the only reason I survived here, I won't lie to you. If I hadn't been dodging on their screen, I probably would have died to the shotgun right here. So that's the first example of reading your radar. This is something that you're also gonna be doing a lot because it's really important. Next example of this, well, I just clean out that person with line search. This player's low, so I kill them. Then this player's right here, and I just shoot at the floor because I'm expecting them to come down. I loop lightning rod and I'm coming down, but I realize I have this person on my radar, literally above me. I don't know where they are in this case. I'm just gonna come down, I'm gonna wait a little bit, and then I'm gonna shoot at the floor once they're on top of me in the radar. So you can see I kinda wait here. And while they were never on top of me on the radar, but as you can see, because there was literally nowhere they could have been standing on, at least from the radar read, I was expecting them to come down at some point. So I shot at the floor, and well, you know, they did come down, and they died to lightning rod. So that's another very good example of reading your radar. Now this one is a little funny, but it also happens pretty often. So right here, I kill this person, then I shoot my lightning rod over here, and I killed 2 people. So that's very fast. So again, I kill this person, I got lightning rod. Again, this all happens very fast, and I'm already prepared for it by the time I get in this position. But what happened is, this player is grappling me, but I see a really bright pink on the radar. That means there's 2 or more players over here, but I only see 1, so the rest obviously should be somewhere over here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot at the floor over here, and if I'm lucky enough, I'm gonna hit this hunter that's grappling me, so I can then follow up with a melee, and I'm also gonna hit whoever's behind here. So by the time I loop my lightning rod with this hunter, I can just shoot at the floor again and they're gonna die. In case they do repick, that is. So what ends up happening is I do shoot, I do chain at this hunter, and I do follow up with a melee. But what happened, you can see here, like my prediction was right, there was somebody over there, but they were already low because of my teammates, so they just died. But you know, like I'm already prepared for this player that died to push. So if they would have pushed, they would have died to my lightning rod. Okay, so last example of this, I killed that person in the zone, then I killed this other person, and then this person who jumped right here, I kill them by reading my radar and shooting at the floor. So what's important is that I came over here, I shot at these players, and this other player that got hit by this lightning rod is low, but I can see them jumping. So right here I waited until they were kind of on top of me on my radar again, just like one of the previous examples. And then I shot at the floor because I know they're somewhere over here, and indeed they were. You can see a lightning rod chained to them and they died, and that's it. So again, another very good example of reading your radar. So before I show you the final clips, I'm gonna show you some very specific things that I also do. So first of them is this one. So right here I just pick up the heavy and I get lightning rod from my heavy. That allows me to reverse swap on this person, and then right here I got kinda lucky, but I managed to kill this other player. So I just wanted to show you that I didn't make this up and it's not a niche thing. I do this every time I get heavy. You kill someone with the rocket and you proc lightning rod off of that, because that is a pretty free lightning rod. You should be doing this a lot if you are gonna be pairing Trinity with a rocket launcher. Next thing that I want to show you is when you can team shot with your teammates. So right here I'm gonna rest my body and they're gonna fight this person on the zone. And right there, my teammate called out that they were fighting with them. And as soon as I see the shots, I know that if he landed at least one headshot on them, because they're using a hand cannon too, and now I can just shoot at the wall and kill them. I'm just showing you this to tell you that lightning rod is not just for you. If you can help your team by getting someone low so they can finish them off, do it. There's no reason you should not do it other than maybe you're not looping lightning rod off of that if you're not the one getting the kill. Right here I did, but a lot of times when I do this, I don't get the kill, my teammates get the kill, but the important thing is that they do get the kill. This is very important in trials and comp. Maybe in quick play you can be a little bit more selfish, but in trials and comp this is very important, to not let your teammates die because you didn't want to lose lightning rod. There's no point. Something else that I want to talk about is the damage delay from bows, which is most noticeable on Witchender and Trinity because they have multiple damage instances. In the case of Trinity, it's because it shoots 3 arrows. So right here you're gonna see that I don't get my kills from my abilities, I get my kill from my lightning rod. So right here you can see this, that was a bow kill, and that was also a bow kill, even though I did melee them. So you can see right here I even shot my lightning rod way earlier than I meleeed, but my lightning rod still got that kill and not my melee. This is bad sometimes, but there's really nothing that you can do about it other than wait for the lightning rod damage to register. I usually don't even wait because again I feel like there's no point. I don't want to have to compensate for it, so I don't really account for this damage delay ever. I think I used to once upon a time, but it really impacts the speed of your gameplay, and sometimes you really have to get the kill even if you don't heal from combo blow or knockout. It's still gonna be an arc kill because it's lightning rod, so you're still gonna loop lightning rod. So and in a lot of situations it doesn't even matter, you just need to kill that other player as fast as you can so you don't get shotgunned or fusioned or meleeed by a glaive. If lightning rod gets the kill and not your abilities, if lightning rod fucks up your heal, don't worry, you know it happens, and again in most situations it doesn't even matter. Last specific thing that I want to talk about is know your numbers. Now I think this is kind of self-explanatory, but still I'm gonna show you this clip. So this hunter is gonna push me, then I'm gonna dodge into cover. Right here I'm waiting because I know they're gonna push, but as soon as they push, I'm gonna shoot at them. I'm gonna dodge into cover. And as soon as this person rests, you can see I hit a hand cannon shot on them. And then follow up with a headshot into melee so I can 1. Heal, and 2. Get my line rod so I can finish off the other players. So this I do when I'm like really locked in. I hit a headshot on this player and then they rest, but that doesn't change the fact that I still hit a headshot on them, so they're gonna be low. Now when this player gets rest, I know headshot into melee is not gonna be enough because of the overshield, so I need to get rid of the overshield first. Luckily, 1 hand cannon body shot is all I need. Right here, you can see that's pretty much nothing. Now I can actually headshot into melee, and that's gonna allow me to heal, so this player won't kill me right away. And now I got lightning rod, so because I hit a headshot earlier on this player, I know I can finish them off with lightning rod, and that's it. So by paying attention to what you're doing and knowing your damage numbers, I think it's easier for you to know what to do and when to do it. So now for the last set of clips, I'm gonna show you some 1v3s and then I'm gonna show you some lights out. So a lot of things are gonna happen in these clips, so I'm just gonna show them to you first and then I'm gonna explain them. You can see I killed this player, that's very important. I'm gonna explain it a little bit. Then I kill this other player, then I do that. What happened here? Why did I say that this kill was very important? I want you to look at this again. So this player gave me a free lightning rod. That's very bad. I mean, it's very good for me, but it's very bad for all of the other team. Because if one player is giving me free lightning rod like that, like they barely even fought back, now their other 2 teammates are gonna get punished because of that one player's mistake. And that's exactly what happens here. So you can see I kill this player by following up with an ability after a lightning rod, and they die. Then I can very easily win this 1v1 because I have lightning rod, and that's it. That's the round. I won that very easily because this one player decided that it would be a good idea to give me a free lightning rod. Now granted, these players aren't that good, but still, this also applies with really good players as well. Because if one of them makes the mistake of giving you lightning rod like that, and they don't know how to play against lightning rod, that's gonna be maybe not a free round, but it's definitely gonna make your life easier. So you, as the Trinity player, should prioritize the weaker link in the other teams when possible. If you see the worst player in the other team, you should be prioritizing them first because that's a very easy line rod. This clip, again, I'm gonna show it to you first and then I'm going to explain it. So right there I got out of sight, I set myself up, then I got line rod from that person. Then I killed this other person by following up with a grenade. And then I barely survived that last one. So this clip is a very good showcase of how to use your utility. This is a 1v3, but I am not worried about the 1v3 because I have all of my abilities. So I do have a chance of fighting back. So what I do here is I run away because I need to get to a favorable position. But I see there's somebody else behind me. So as soon as I get over here, I'm gonna dodge to get out of sight. And that's it. And then I'm just gonna assume that they're gonna chase. So I'm just gonna set myself up. Because I dodge, I have little current. So I can get myself up here in the air. Just like if I had a shotgun. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit a body shot. And I'm gonna melee. And even if they don't die from the melee, I know little current is going to kill them. So I get lightning rod off of that. Now that I got lightning rod, I can have a better chance of fighting back against the other 2 players. So I get in here, but then I realize maybe it's not that favorable because I have no cover here except for this part of the wall. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot my lightning rod and follow with a grenade so the grenade can kill them while I'm in cover. I do this a lot and I pretty much can't do anything and I'm gonna loop lightning rod. Now here I fucked up. I misread and I missed my line rod, and they threw a swarm grenade at me, so this is a very bad position. So I have to think really fast of what to do. I have no dodge, I can't hit them with a melee because they're too far away. I do have amplified, which is fine, means I have a lot of handling, and I don't have my grenade either, so because I'm still thinking, that doesn't mean I can't do anything. I'm gonna shoot them, and the only thing that I can think of doing is pull out my hand cannon and just pray that their resilience is low enough for me to kill them with the hand cannon. And that's what ends up happening. So I got lucky right there. But still, I made use of my utility, which is my hand cannon. My hand cannon also counts as utility. Once you get more experience with the playstyle, you can do things like this. You don't have to worry about being in tough situations if you have the utility to win your fights. Last 1v3. This person was low from a grenade that I threw earlier, so I managed to double body. Then I healed from that. That thing that I did was very important, and then I pre-fired because I read my radar. So to look at this bit by bit, earlier I threw a grenade, that's why they're low, so I managed to double body. Again, that's just use of utility. And then right here, I slide into this situation, and just because I'm gonna step on the zone here and I just kill this other player, I know that somebody's gonna try to push over here. So I'm just gonna shoot at this wall and I'm gonna dodge. In the case that this other player doesn't fully commit to the push, I can follow up with a melee from pretty far away. And that's not what happened. They did commit, but they missed a shotgun shot because I was dodging probably, so I managed to kill them and got the heal. Now this is very important. Heals. I won't say that you have to know when to heal because this is not a solar subclass. You don't have on-demand healing. You need to get a kill for you to heal. But as you're gonna see in a moment, if I hadn't followed up with the melee and I hadn't healed, I probably would have died in this next fight. Again, radar raid, free fire at this wall, and I do hit them, and then I just follow up with a body shot. Look at my health bar. If I hadn't healed, I would have died. Like, look at this. It's pretty much the same. Like, that was enough damage that other person did to kill me if I hadn't healed. So again, this is why I complain about Stormcaller not having any healing. Healing is very important to winning 1v3s as well. So that's why having heals on your build is very important. So lastly, for the lights out, you can see I shoot this person, then I follow up with a melee and I heal. Then Lethal Current did the job right here. And I managed to do the K.O.D.O on these people. So this person has heavy. So if I end up surviving this situation, which I'm not expecting to, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot a headshot on them and then I dodge backwards to dodge the shots. And well, that's what I do, and I do end up surviving. So what I'm gonna do now is just follow up with a melee and heal. And then, because there was other players chasing me as well, this crazy ball of lightning from Lethal Current damaged them. That actually does pretty good damage. You can see right here that like, what's that, 72. So that allowed me to follow up with a lightning rod, and from that lightning rod, I started doing the K.O.D.O. So I killed this one and I damaged this one. So I shot another one. So I killed this one. And I actually didn't damage this one because Lightning Rod didn't have any sight on them. So here I just shot at the floor and I just kinda hope that I wouldn't die. So yeah, I don't really have anything extra to say about this clip. It's just a good clip that shows you that one thing that you do can very easily be followed up by another different strat. And for the very last clip, I got this very beautiful clip. Now this is a private match, so I guess shout out to the people who were here. But this clip is so good because I do a lot of things here that I just mentioned earlier. I'm just gonna show you the clip first without talking, and then I'm going to explain to you. Beautiful. Okay, so I just see my radar. Okay, I know there's people here, so I'm just gonna pick shoot and do a reverse swap on the first person I see. That was the first person I saw. So I did a reverse swap on them, and then from that reverse swap, I managed to do a K.O.D.O. So I killed the person that I did the reverse swap on, and then I damaged this other player that's just above me. So because I know I'm gonna loop Lion Rod, I'm gonna shoot at the wall, and I'm gonna dodge so I can make an orb and heal from that. And actually I made 2 orbs, one because of the Siphon and another one because of the Reaper. And I picked them up because of Powerful Attraction, so I'm gonna heal from that. So you can see, I get a bunch of healing. As I was dodging, I was already looking at my radar, and I know there's somebody else coming over here. So I'm gonna aim at the wall first in case they push. So if they do, I just shoot at the wall and then follow up with the melee because I just dodged, so I know I have little current up. And that's exactly what happens. They push, and I follow up with a melee because I had little current on, and I get another heal that I didn't really need to, but I still got it. And then, you know, I just finished this other player up because I have Lightning Rod. They pretty much can't do anything. I mean, they could have, but they decided to shoot at me with the sniper rifles, and they missed their shot, so yeah, I just managed to kill them. And that's it. So in this single clip, I did a reverse swap into a K.O.D.O, into a dodge heal, into a little current kill, into a Lightning Rod body shot. So yeah, this clip is beautiful. This is probably my favorite clip that I got. Okay, so hopefully I explained everything right, but just to recap, we got alpha aiming and early drawing, reverse swapping, K.O.D.O, and radar read. Those 4 strats are the ones that I'm always applying on my gameplay. So if you look at the rest of my videos, you're always gonna see me doing those. So if you need more examples of how they look like, you can, I don't know, maybe go and watch the rest of my videos. But yeah, that's it for this section. Wow, that was a very long video. I am really sorry if the video was too long. When I first started this project, I definitely wasn't expecting it to be this long, but hopefully I explained everything clearly, and if I didn't, well, I'm sorry. But also feel free to leave any questions you have in the comments. But please, before you comment anything, check first if your question was already asked by someone else. I will try to answer everything as best as I can. You can also leave your thoughts on the matter if you have any. I'm always happy to discuss about Trinity, so maybe if you disagree with something I said, again, I'm happy to talk about it in the comments. Now, I want to make a small announcement. For a long time, a friend of mine has had a Discord server aimed for other Trinity players. So now I'm sharing this server with whoever watches this video. In this server, me and other Trinity players can more easily discuss about anything related to Trinity and maybe also other stuff as well. We got the tier list that I show you all in this video, which I'll be updating if anything does change. We got a build section, so if you want to check out some specific Trinity builds, you can check them out in there. And we also have a kill tracker leaderboard. So if you want to have your name in here, join the Discord. Maybe you got way more kills than me, and if you do, I love to see you here. And if you don't, then I'll also love to see you in there. Hopefully we get quite a bit of people in here. I think that'll be really cool to see. And the last thing I want to say before I end the video is that I might start streaming it too if this video does pretty well and if people are interested in that. So if you are interested, definitely let me know. Now, I don't have an outro phrase, so I'm just gonna cut it here. Goodbye, take care, join the Discord, and hopefully I never have to make another 2-hour video ever again.